transportation infrastructure. It is a firm's logistics platform, which is determined by a location's ease and convenience of market reach under favorable cost circumstances. Your transportation infrastructure should be very strong. You can take an example for the best transportation infrastructure of Amazon. Amazon has got the best transportation infrastructure internationally because, as you know, Amazon is a leading supplier of goods and services, and it has got a very good market share. Most of us have been doing shopping on Amazon, especially during these pandemic times also. So I think participants have received the link a little late, so they are joining one by one. I'll just get a glass of water, just a minute. Our session. So the transportation infrastructure has to be strong. The logistics manager must learn about existing and planned infrastructures abroad and at home and factor them into the firm's strategy. The public sector's investment priorities like safety regulations, tax incentives, and transportation policy can have major effects on the logistics decisions of the firms. See, what are now the vessels used in ocean shipping? As you all know, the uh, boats or the ships which are used in international shipping are called vessels. So we'll be discussing what are the different vessels used in ocean shipping. See, there is something called a liner service. Now I'll explain you what is a liner. A liner is a very huge ship which will carry hundreds and thousands of containers. Then there is a bulk service ship, and then there is a tramp service. So all these vessels are designed with respect to the load that they are carrying on the ocean in mind. Okay. So there are primarily three types of vessels. Please take a note of this: liner service, bulk service, and tramp service. Air freight is available to and from most of the countries, including the developing world. International air freight is expected to grow to 190 billion tons in 2005. This is a little old data compared to only 70 billion tons in 1995. 40% of the world's manufactured traveled by air, and items that are high value or high in density tend to travel by air. I have admitted everyone now. I think no one is in the waiting list now. But this indeed disrupt presentation, and there's a lot of interference due to I have to toggle between my presentation and admit people in the session. So we said that air freight is available to and from most of the countries, including the developing world. International air freight is expected to grow to 190 billion tons. It has actually gone more than that now, compared to only 70 billion tons in 1995. So after, let's say, about 25 years, in the last 25 years, the air freight is grown very huge. 40% of the world's manufactured travel by air. Items that are of high value or high in density tend to travel by air, especially delicate items. Now, considerations for selecting mode of transport. What are the considerations you will, what are the conditions or considerations for mode of transport? Transit time, predictability, cost, and non-economic factors. Right? Considerations for selecting a mode of transport. Four considerations: primarily predictability, transit time, cost, and non-economic factors. So we'll be discussing all these factors. Export documentation. Now, we'll be discussing some points on export documentation. There is a document called a bill of lading. It is a contract between the exporter and the carrier, indicating that the carrier has accepted responsibility for the goods and will provide transportation in return of payment. See, this is a very important document. Please take a note of all these points. What is a bill of lading? It is also called BOL and a short form. What is a bill of lading? It is like a formal contract between the exporter and the carrier, indicating that the carrier has accepted responsibility for the goods and will provide transportation in return for payment. A commercial invoice is a bill for the goods stating basic information about the transaction, including a description of the merchandise, total cost of the goods sold, addresses of the shipper and the seller, and delivery and payment terms. So what is the first export documentation? Bill of lading. Second export document is commercial invoice. And a freight forwarder will specialize in handling export documentation. So it's also known as C&F agent, carrying and forwarding, carrying and freight agent. What are some of the international inventory issues? Inventories tie up a major portion of corporate funds. Therefore, proper inventory policy should be a major concern to the international logistician. Just-in-time inventory policies minimize the volume of inventory by making it available only when needed. The purpose of establishing inventory systems are to maintain product movement in the delivery pipeline and to have a cushion to absorb demand fluctuations. You see, you should always have some kind of a cushioning or buffer inventory to absorb fluctuations in demand. Now, three factors that decide the level of inventory. What are these three factors? Desired customer service levels, use of inventories as a strategic tool, and ordering cycle time. There are still participants joining, almost 12:30. Desired customer service levels, ordering cycle time, and use of inventory as a strategic tool. Now, what are some of the international packaging issues when it comes to logistics and supply chain? Packaging is instrumental in getting the merchandise to the destination in a safe and presentable condition. Because of the added stress on international shipping, packaging that is adequate for domestic shipping may be inadequate for international shipping. So friends, you have to clearly differentiate between domestic shipping and international shipping. Packaging considerations that should be taken into account are environmental conditions and weight. One solution to the packaging problem has been the development of intermodal containers. Cost attention must be paid to international packaging. Now, storage facilities. What are the challenges for storage facilities? A stationary period is involved when merchandise becomes inventory stored in warehouses. See, not all the inventory will be immediately sold. Remember that. Inventory has to be stored also in warehouses for some time. So it becomes a challenging thing because it's a stationary period, maybe 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, etc. The location decision addresses how many distribution centers we should have and where to locate them. Storage facilities abroad can differ in availability and quality because you see multinational corporations will have to deal with different kinds of weather conditions. The logistician should analyze international product sales and then rank order products according to warehousing needs. Now, what do we mean by special trade zones? It's a foreign trade zone or areas where foreign goods may be held or processed and then re-exported without incurring duties. Trade zones can be useful as transshipment points to reduce logistics cost and redesign marketing approaches. And governments and firms benefit from foreign trade zones. Now, what is the meaning of export processing zone and economic zones or special economic zones, well known in the world called SEZ? In export processing zones, special rules apply that are different in other regions of the country. These zones usually provide tax-free and duty-free treatment for production facilities. whose output is destined abroad. The maquiladoras of Mexico are one example of a program that permits firms to take advantage of sharp differentials in labor costs. Through the creation of special economic zones, the Chinese government has attracted many foreign investors, bringing in millions of dollars. Now, what do we mean by centralized logistics management? We'll discuss what is the meaning of centralized logistics management. In international logistics, the existence of a headquarters staff that retains decision-making power over logistics is important. To avoid internal problems, both headquarters staff and local management should report to one person. This individual can contribute an objective view when inevitable conflicts arise in international logistics coordination. What do we mean by decentralized logistics management? When a firm serves many diverse international markets, total centralization might leave the firm unresponsive to local adaptation needs. If each subsidiary is made a profit center in itself, each one carries the full responsibility for its performance. Once products are within a specific market, increased output from local logistics operations should be expected and encouraged. Now we'll discuss about outsourcing logistics services. But prior to that, I want to ask you if you have any doubts or questions on logistics. There are 34 participants, including myself, so there are 33 attendees, little less today. The last time we had about 42. So are there any questions you have on international logistics, domestic logistics? What are the different types of vessels used in international shipping, liner service, bulk carriers, etc.? We also have to discuss on an important issue as a part of supply chain on containerization. So if you have any doubts, you can very well ask, do not hesitate at all. I'm giving you 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Are there any doubts?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, can you please explain again a centralized logistic management point?
Centralized logistics management presentation. Hold on. Centralized logistics management. In international logistics, the existence of a headquarters staff that retains decision-making power over logistics is important. See, we all know, we all very well aware about the meaning of the word centralized, meaning a centralized office which has the decision-making power. So in is the existence of a headquarters. See, you can have different branches or different distribution centers when it comes to logistics, but there has to be a centralized logistics cell. I can give you an example on this. See, Mumbai or Bombay has been always a centralized logistics because it will decide how much amount of goods should be shipped in which place. And since Mumbai is connected very closely by ports, like you have the Mazgaon docks, you have Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, you have the Uran and Vashi Port Trust, then you have the Kolaba Mumbai Port Trust, MPT. So many ports are there in Mumbai because Mumbai, as you see, if you see Mumbai is surrounded completely on the western side and some central parts of Bombay have been surrounded, even the coastal areas. If we travel from Pune to Mumbai, the first thing you will hit is the Vashi Creek. The Vashi is, that is, New Mumbai is also connected through sea. Main Mumbai is also connected through sea. So since it is connected very closely through sea, the international logistics headquarters will be in one place. So you will have to do some research on that. Okay, in the USA, what are the international logistics headquarters? So what do we actually mean by centralized logistics management is in international logistics, the existence of a headquarters staff that retains decision making over domestic or further logistics is important. This is also because to avoid internal problems, both headquarters staff and local management should report to one person. So it is always better to report to one central office. This individual can contribute an objective view when inevitable conflicts arise in international logistics coordination. See, any business, if not centralized, will conflicts. See, centralization is important because decisions should be made from one central office. So I hope I have explained and you have understood it. What do we mean by centralized logistics management? One of the examples I can give you is Maersk. Maersk is an international logistics organization and they have got their centralized logistics headquarters in Bombay, from where they will be doing further domestic shipments to the different parts of India as a country. Now, what do we mean by decentralized logistics management? When a firm serves many diverse international markets, total centralization might leave the firm unresponsive to local adaptation needs. So you have to decentralize. You have to transfer or delegate the powers of logistics to different firms. Each subsidiary is made as a profit center. This is also called SBU, Strategic Business Unit. If each subsidiary, which is decentralized in logistics management, is being looked upon as a strategic business unit which will have profit making or profit center, then each one carries the full responsibility for the performance. See, people will only perform or an office will only perform if there is some amount of profit in it. So what you can do is you can have a centralized and decentralized mixed structure. You can have one central office for your logistics organization situated in a place which is very closely connected to air, sea, rail and road. And further, you can establish decentralized logistics units which will act as profit centers and run their own strategic business unit as a profit center, but they will report to one centralized logistics management office. So that's why I gave you an example of Maersk. It operates on this kind of a structure. Once products are within a specific market, increased output from local logistics operations should be expected and encouraged. Now let us discuss about outsourcing logistics services. This is a systematic outsourcing of logistics capacity, third option. So what you can do is you can have a central logistics office and decentralize your further logistics offices through outsourcing and through collaboration. So by collaboration with transportation firms, private warehouses or other specialists, corporate resources can be concentrated on the firm's core product. So you as a firm can focus or concentrate on your core competency area, but your logistics can be thoroughly outsourced. And there are many firms today in India and abroad who are taking care of outsourced logistical operations. One-stop logistics allows shippers to buy all the transportation modes and functional services from a single carrier. So what you can do is, you can have your central logistics office in your headquarters, and you can further book carrying and forwarding agents or shipping companies, shipping logistics companies. You can appoint them as third party or outsourced logistics services. Now we'll discuss on the supply chain and the internet, but before going to the supply chain and the internet, again I wish to ask you a question. Are there any questions on logistics? Now there are 31 numbers including myself, so there are total 30 participants. I think two are left, two have left. There were 32. So if there are no questions on international logistics as well as domestic logistics, and if this is clear that how to do outsourcing of logistics, then we will now go further to supply chain and the internet. What is the meaning of the supply chain? And see, internet is going to play a very major role in handling your supply chain. Because of the internet, firms are able to conduct many more global comparisons among suppliers and select from a wider variety of choices. Do you agree with me? When customers have the ability to access a company through the internet, the company must be prepared for 24-hour order taking and customer service. Excellent example, Amazon. And if you see, Amazon has its own transportation organization called ATSPL, that is Amazon Transportation Services Private Limited. For all countries, but particularly in developing nations, the issue of universal access to the internet is crucial. So this is a very crucial issue. Do you all agree? See, I can see that tomorrow, same time, we have a session on operations and supply chain management from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So we'll also be, exploring many case studies, international case studies in supply chain. Would you all be interested to, case studies in supply chain instead of just a theory? So that I will start developing them from today, right?
Yes, sir.
We'll take some wonderful case studies in supply chain management, because through case studies we'll be
Okay,
able to
sir.
understand the concept better. You see, instead of me giving you a theoretical presentation from the book by Chopra Mendel, I will start developing some case studies or start downloading some case studies. I've got many on supply chain and logistics, and if we speak about different case studies in our session, we hardly have two sessions in 1 week, on Wednesday and Thursday, because on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I've got other 2+2 sessions on specialization subjects, that is service operations management and supply chain management. Course code 204 and 206. Sorry, 205 and 206. So now we'll discuss about logistics and security, because these are major issues. See, after the terrorist attacks of 2001, companies had to deal with the fact that the pace of international transaction has slowed down and that formerly routine steps will now take longer. Security is a very big issue in logistics. Logistics systems and modern transportation systems are often the target of attacks. The need to institute new safeguards for international shipments will affect the ability of firms to efficiently plan their international shipments. So, logistics has also thrown a big challenge on security. Now, let us discuss on the logistics and the environment. Since the environmental laws and regulations differ across the globe from country to country, the firm's efforts need to be responsive to a wide variety of requirements. Reverse distribution systems are instrumental in ensuring that the firm not only delivers the product to the market but also can retrieve it from the market for subsequent use, recycling, or disposal. There are two types of logistics: forward logistics and reverse logistics. Companies need to learn how to simultaneously achieve environmental and economic goals. So this is the book which I am referring to, friends. Please, you can take a screenshot or image of this book. This is one of the best book in logistics supply chain management by Donald Bowersox and David Kloss. Best book on logistics management and supply chain, Bowersox and Kloss. It is available on Amazon. It is available on the internet. I don't think it is available for free downloads, but you have to buy it, and you can even buy a used book on Amazon, which you will be able to get in 50% of the cost. So you see on Amazon there is one option called used books on 50% books, buying on 50% cost. So this was my presentation today based on logistics and